America 2024, it's like we're trapped in a political sequel that no one asked for. Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, round 2. And if you thought 2020 was a dumpster fire wrapped in a train wreck, buckle up, Buttercup, this one's gonna be a doozy. The polls? Let's just say they're about as predictable as a toddler on a sugar rush. 1 minute Harris is up, the next it's Trump, and then it's basically a statistical tie. America, you're really making this difficult for the people whose job it is to tell us what's going to happen. But hey, that's democracy, right? A messy, chaotic, often bewildering system where for some reason, we let people pick the leader of the free world. And by people I mean a terrifyingly large percentage who get their news from screaming Facebook memes and whatever conspiracy theory their uncle forwarded them that week. So yeah, America's on edge. We're stressed, we're divided, and we're pretty sure this whole election thing is just a giant distraction from the fact that the robot uprising has already begun. But hey, at least we're not bored. Look, let's not sugarcoat it. This election is about more than just tax plans and healthcare. It's about the very soul of America. It's about whether we're a nation that embraces diversity, progress, and basic human decency, or one that retreats into fear, division, and a disturbingly nostalgic embrace of a past that never actually existed. On the one hand, you've got Harris, former prosecutor, senator, the first female vice president, and a walking, talking symbol of just how much America has changed, or at least has the potential to change. She's talking about climate change, social justice, and, not locking babies in cages. On the other hand, you've got Trump, a man who needs no introduction because he's spent the last 4 years making sure you'll never forget his name or his tweets. He's back with his greatest hits: immigration fear-mongering, economic promises that somehow always seem to benefit billionaires more than anyone else, and enough thinly veiled racism to make a Klan rally blush. So, yeah, it's a battle for America's soul. And right now, it's a coin toss to see which way it's going to land. Remember those I Heart NY t-shirts? Well, in 2024, it's all about the I Heart, insert swing state here gear. Because once again, the fate of the nation rests on the shoulders of a handful of battleground states. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. These names are starting to sound as familiar as the opening lines of your favorite sitcom. That's because they're chock full of those mythical, undecided voters. The people who apparently wait until the very last minute to decide whether they want affordable healthcare or, not. Both campaigns are pouring more money into these states than a casino owner at a roulette table. Rallies, town halls, attack ads that would make a used car salesman blush. It's all happening. And the voters? Well, they're probably just trying to figure out how to avoid getting stuck talking politics with their crazy uncle at Thanksgiving dinner. Ah, polls. Those magical surveys that somehow manage to be both wildly inaccurate and completely addictive. It's like watching a reality show where the prize is the future of democracy and the contestants are statistical models and margin of error. 1 week, Harris is up by 5 points in Ohio. The next, Trump is leading by 3 in Florida. It's enough to give you whiplash, assuming you haven't already torn your hair out trying to make sense of it all. But here's the thing about polls, they're not actually measuring the future, they're capturing a snapshot of a very specific moment in time, influenced by everything from the news cycle to the weather, to whether or not respondents have had their coffee yet. So yeah, pay attention to the polls. But maybe don't base your entire emotional well-being on them, unless you're really into stress eating, in which case, go nuts, figuratively of course. We need everyone to be of sound mind to vote. Section 5, every vote counts. Especially when they don't. Let's talk about voter turnout, because in a democracy it's not just about who shows up to vote, but also about who doesn't. And in America, we're really good at not showing up. Think about it. Millions of eligible voters just don't bother. Maybe they're disillusioned, maybe they're too busy, or maybe they just really hate filling out forms. Whatever the reason, their absence has consequences. Because in a tight race, every vote matters, and when a significant portion of the population stays home on election day, it can skew the results and leave us with a leader who doesn't actually represent the will of the people. It's like letting your weird uncle pick the restaurant for Thanksgiving dinner because you couldn't be bothered to text back your preference. So, yeah, voting. Do it. It's the least you can do for your country, and it's a lot easier than staging a revolution, although, let's be honest, sometimes that feels tempting. Section 6, remember 2016? Yeah, that could happen again. Remember that time when everyone thought Hillary Clinton was a shoo-in for president, and then, Well, we all know how that turned out. Here's the thing about American elections, they're weird, like really weird. And they're full of surprises, like really unpleasant surprises. The Electoral College, the vast influence of swing states, the fact that a candidate can win the popular vote by millions and still lose the election, it's enough to make you wonder if the Founding Fathers were just messing with us. So, yeah, anything can happen. The polls could be wrong, again. There could be a last-minute scandal, again. A rogue squirrel could hack into the voting machines. Okay, maybe not that last one, but at this point, who knows? The point is, don't get complacent. Don't assume anything. And maybe stock up on comfort food, just in case. Section 7, your vote, your voice, your future, maybe. Okay, here comes the inspirational part. The part where we talk about the power of democracy and the importance of making your voice heard. Because despite all the cynicism and the chaos, voting still matters. It's about choosing the direction of the country. It's about deciding what kind of future you want for yourself and for generations to come. It's about having a say in who gets to make decisions about your healthcare, your education, your environment, and whether or not we're going to war with Canada over maple syrup rights. Okay, maybe not that last one, but you get the idea. So yeah, your vote is your voice. Use it. It's the most powerful tool you have in shaping the future of America. Section 8. The final countdown, rallies, ads, and desperate pleas. It's the final days of the campaign, and the candidates are pulling out all the stops. Think of it like the climax of a cheesy action movie, but instead of explosions and car chases, it's rallies, attack ads, and desperate pleas for your vote. Harris is crisscrossing the country, promising to heal divisions, restore America's standing in the world, and basically, just not be Donald Trump. Trump, meanwhile, is holding massive rallies where he rails against the fake news media, promises to make America great again, and generally just does his best to make everyone feel slightly dumber for having listened to him. And let's not forget the attack ads. Those delightful little nuggets of political propaganda designed to scare you, anger you, and generally make you question whether humanity is even worth saving at this point. It's a lot. But hey, at least it's almost over. Section 9. Money talks, but can it buy the White House again? Let's be honest, folks. American elections are expensive. Like, really expensive. We're talking billions of dollars spent on everything from TV ads to private jets, to those little plastic American flags that everyone waves around at rallies. And where does all that money come from? Well, let's just say it's not from bake sales and lemonade stands. We're talking big donors, corporations, and special interest groups, all vying for the ear of the next president. Harris has the edge in fundraising, pulling in millions from small donors and breaking records in the process. Trump, meanwhile, is relying on a mix of big donors and his own personal fortune because apparently being a billionaire just isn't enough these days. The question is, does all that money actually matter? Can it really buy an election? Well, it certainly doesn't hurt. But in the end, it's still up to the voters to decide whether they're buying what the candidates are selling. Section 10, from abortion to the economy, what's at stake? Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. What are the actual issues at stake in this election? Well, where do we even begin? The economy? It's always the economy, isn't it? Harris is promising to build on the progress made during the Biden administration, while Trump is promising to do whatever Trump thinks will get him elected. Then there's healthcare, a perennial hot-button issue that somehow manages to be both incredibly important and incredibly boring at the same time. Harris wants to expand access to affordable healthcare, while Trump, well, let's just say Trump's views on healthcare are about as clear as a mud puddle. And then there are the social issues, abortion, LGBTQ+ rights, racial justice, climate change, the list goes on. These are the issues that divide America along ideological lines, and they're only going to become more important in the years to come. The point is, there's a lot at stake in this election. Your rights, your future, your very way of life. So, choose wisely, America. Section 11. The choice is yours, America. So there you have it, America. The 2024 election, a battle for the soul of a nation, a reality show where the prize is the future, a giant, messy, often terrifying reminder that democracy is a lot like a group project where you're never quite sure who's going to pull their weight and who's going to leave you holding the bag. But hey, at least you get to be a part of it. You get to cast your vote, make your voice heard, and maybe, just maybe, influence the direction of this crazy train we call America. So get out there and vote, because the choice is yours. For now.